right, welcome back. You're watching Uongozi today. Let's do this thing again. This is what the editorial cartoon is carrying inside the Daily Nation today. It's all about finance bill. We shall be looking at this much later. And of course, also we are now navel-gazing on what is happening, of course, with the US tour, the Hustler jet, the Hustler set, and the goodies that the president is coming back with. That is on top of that fuselage, as you can see it right now. 1 trillion shillings. This is the deals that as the US seeks also influence in the country, as the Standard will put it this morning. And state visit, state of tax affair. This is how it looks. And you are the one who is down here, of course, bearing the brunt of the heavy state visit that, of course, is weighing on you. You can see your tongue also jutting out from that particular weight. As we took a short break as well, we were looking at some of the stories that, of course, taking the center stage in the country right now. Also, the university row between the Vice Chancellor and the Council also was on center stage. And Barack had actually put a figurative speech there, the euphemism of the turtle is patched on the fence. Yes, and that is not really going down well with Professor John Kindiki. I think, the stage of the Vice Chancellor should not be, compared to a tortoise is on top.
Compared to a snake.
Patched on top of the fence.
Really, it's good to use decent language, even when we are giving analogies and comparisons and all these kind of statements that my colleague has put across. Professor Kiama is a scholar, is an academician, is a manager, is a leader. You can give him so many titles at that level to lead not one, but a renowned university in this country, as the first university in this country. So he might have made some mistakes, maybe which in the view of some people may look not appropriate, but he's a scholar, needs even better comparisons than comparing with a tortoise. And I think that was my concern, because if I were him and in the shoes of Professor Kiama and in that office, and I get people, calling me names of animals, I'll feel very, very uncomfortable. Anyway, having said that, in a light note, I didn't want to respond on that anyway. It was just, by the way,
right of reply.
There's something I want to say. I haven't said it. Actually, I was only replying to the analogy of a tortoise. And I'm saying he's a scholar, academician, a manager. He needs some respect of some kind, rather than just treating him like giving him the wrong analogy. Anyway, but this is not an English literature class. This is a debate of governance. So if we go into literature, we will go and explore. We'll be here forever, trying to analyze one word, and it causes a lot of challenges. Anyway, I leave that one. So the main purpose is about governance and leadership.
He wanted to have a rejoinder. Can you give him a chance to have a rejoinder as well?
First of all,
I have not said what I wanted to say. How can he give a rejoinder and I have not finished?
Okay.
Yeah, you only give a rejoinder when I've just made the statement. Maybe that rejoinder may not be necessary.
Shall we respect him?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, in African orature, tortoise is one of the wisest animals. When you refer to tortoise and his tricks and the things that he does in African orature, you are referring to one of the wisest animals. But there are things which the tortoise cannot do. Like the tortoise cannot climb on this table. The tortoise cannot climb on a fence. So if you find him on a table, please understand that somebody has put him there. And that's what I said. And when it comes to, finally, decency is about, especially when you talk about decent language and indecent language, you are getting into the prurient spaces where you are talking about things to do with private room affairs, and I have not used language that pertains to being in private rooms, locked spaces, where the things that go on should remain there. So I don't know what is indecent. about...
So what is the rejoinder? That is an explanation.
Yeah?
It's not a rejoinder as far as I'm concerned.
Just hold on.
But allow me to
let him
make
finish
my
his statement. Are you done?
Because I think to me that's not a rejoinder. It's just an explanation and a clarification.
It's a rejoinder,
So,
it's a repartee.
All right.
You can use
Okay, you have the floor. We're clear with the University of Nairobi.
That's not a rejoinder. I refuse.
Thank you.
The governance of the University of Nairobi has challenges, and it has some historical challenges. But my view is that there is a lot of external interference. That's why I was saying it's not a tortoise, because when a vice chancellor of a university, a renowned university like University of Nairobi,
Renowned.
you know, a renowned university like University of Nairobi, if the vice chancellor is in the office, is the office legally, and if he's not there legally, he should have left a long time ago. That means there is a kind of push and pull kind of activity going on in the university. There are people maybe who are supporting the council and others are supporting the vice chancellor. That's why I was saying all those people cannot be regarded as represented by a tortoise on the table, but we are saying it's a kind of push and pull game, because the council is there legally, actually, as as managers of the university, and they cannot be there even for 1 or 2 days without support from some kind of levels. So actually what we are seeing is that there must be kind of interest which are not, have been not agreed upon. And there are two parties. And what my comment would be, whoever could be the external forces, we should take the university as a priority and see that it's running properly without unnecessary conflicts. Because when the outsiders, and the outsiders are more, they are more powerful than the insiders, when they try to come to the university and start bringing the, having some competing interest, then you'll find that the university will suffer. So my concern about the leadership of the university is that let the two groups come together so that the vice chancellor and the council can work together for the betterment of the university. And if, for example, in any case, the vice chancellor is not, doing his work properly, then there are procedures of handling that, and then logically and conclusively. And if also the council is not doing their work, there are also mechanisms of dealing with it.
Thank you.
But there's kind of push and pull game.
You very point.
Prof, you are belaboring
this
this
what
thing. This
anyway.
is a very simple thing. First of all, you are bringing in external players. That news clip has university students, has the university vice chancellor, and it talks about the university council. So the problems are internal to the University of Nairobi. So we cannot start bringing in external players. Two, you are struggling, and we must reaffirm the basis of this debate to make sure that we do not descend. You are struggling to trivialize a proverb which is, by very definition, an illustration of ideas, of celebration, or an advice. A proverb, Chinua Achebe says, is a palm oil by which words are eaten. So when you become figurative in speech, it's not a place for us to descend down to begin to talk about a tortoise when we lose the meaning of what we are saying. Having said that, the issues in the University of Nairobi invite us as Kenyans to rethink the governance framework of public universities. Because what you are doing is this: when you put a professor as the chairman of a council, and then you put a professor as the vice chancellor, you're essentially inviting ideological conversations. What has happened in other jurisdictions is not professorial abilities and knowledge that makes you a university vice chancellor, or even become a university vice president or so on. It is your ability to manage, so that if you have an MBA, you can actually be a CEO of a university, because a vice chancellor, CEO, is not a lecturer. So you don't need to be a good zoologist or a good forester or a good vet, the way Professor Mbithi was, and even Kiama is a vet, you don't have to be a vet to be a CEO. The quality of a CEO are not academic, are not research. There is more to managing an institution than just academic. So the issue we are dealing with here is sometimes the incongruence between skills we put on the council and skills we put in the vice chancellor. This is not the first time. We've seen turmoil. The University of Nairobi, if you go to the records of the judiciary, the council has been in court for one thing, the vice chancellors have been in court for one thing, Professor Mbithi was in court for one thing, against the CS, against who. So what we are seeing is behavior breeds behavior.
Right. But
yeah, because I'm from the university, I don't want to go for tea at the senior common room, and people ask me,
why did you
when Martin was saying that the MBA should run a university?
Yeah.
You see, a university is not an outfit in industrial area, a company or a factory. It is more to running a university than management in the normal sense of a manager. And therefore, for example, if you are the head of an institution of academics, it's going to be very difficult if you are not one of them. So you must really be one of them. But the important thing is governance structures. That's what we lack in our universities. For example, in functioning universities, the Senate is the highest decision-making body, because there's nothing you can do in any university without Senate saying so.
On matters
even if just a moment, even if it's construction of building, why are you constructing those buildings? You are constructing the building to enhance academics, okay? The core mission of the university and the vision of the university. And therefore, Senate must be strong. We don't have strong governance institutions and structures in our universities. And then the link between the parent ministry, the education ministry, and our universities is not clearly spelled out. We are still having the hangovers of the past, when universities were run from Jogo House and State House. We must walk away from that. And then this amorphous thing called Q. I've never understood what it does. So it's not a question of really of an MBA running a university or a professor running a university. It's a question of the right structures and special governance.
Right, but special governance. Just a moment, Barak, because also you say that these are internal affairs, right? That we should not also allow the sentiments of outside forces influencing the affairs of the university. But if you listen to what Barak is saying, he's talking about a tortoise that is patched on that particular
The tortoise
is
from out.
And the way it's nuanced, it means also there's somebody who has actually patched Kiama there on that particular fence at the end of the day. This is what Barak is trying to tell us, that there is an outside influence. So what are these forces which are actually bringing these wrangles from before? Right? It is not really an internal affair. It's somebody who's trying to, sort of star the honest nest right now.
But that's what I'm saying about structures, about governance.
Who is influencing?
But there is no institution. There is no institution, the bar, whether here in America, Canada, China, whatever, that operates without the normal friction and politics. That's normal for any institution. But what makes these others survive and thrive is that they have strong structures, so that even if the politics is there, it may be the politics of the church trying to influence. Even in America today, you see what's happening on American campuses. There's very serious international politics at play. But you see, they are able to withstand that because of the structures they are put in place.
Could you listen to Barak? Yeah, but I just want to clarify this because it's what Aman is saying.
Then we
the statutes of the University of Nairobi speak to the various roles, including the role of the Senate. That's a statutory thing, and that's the charter as well. So the University of Nairobi is a chartered university. It has a charter statute spelling out the role of Senate. Senate is not a governance organ in the context in which we are speaking. Senate is internal. It's about, its membership is determined either by positions or by roles. So the Vice Chancellor chairs the Senate, and heads and deans, principals, heads of schools are members of that. Senate, as you are rightly saying, makes decisions, mainly academic. Having said that, employment in a university is the business of the council, especially at the senior management. Until now, you get the level at which it is the vice chancellor and so on. So when we talk about governance, we are saying that is the Universities Act that we require to look at to be able to say who actually should be in the council. The mistakes we are making is you're taking a professor of University of Nairobi, you are going to make them the chair of the council of Kenyatta University. They want to take University of Nairobi to Kenyatta University. They're not looking at Kenyatta University for what it is. So some of the things we've done for ourselves, and I've been in this business for a while looking at reforms in the university sector, and we are still there. We haven't helped ourselves. So the problems we are seeing in the University of Nairobi, we saw them in Masinde Muliro. Masinde Muliro, somebody went there as a chair of council. In a degree, he had a PhD, supposedly a PhD in transport. And he messed up that university completely, and just because he was chair of council. And we've seen that on a number of other universities that you can look at. So basically, I want to say, yes, we need to look at our governance, but we also need to look at how not to do business. So I don't want to externalize things.
It is Barak's time, please. Then we'll come to you. Barak, you want to also maybe
yes, a very
give us an inside scoop of this influence.
Briefly. And I think that both Dr. Olo and Manyora are right, and we need an intersection between the two perspectives. Manyora is right when he says that the university by its very nature will want a professor at the very top, one of them from the academy. And Dr. Olo is absolutely right when he says that you need some managerial, some leadership and administrative competencies, training, and even qualification. And I don't think that being a professor and having an MBA are mutually exclusive. Yeah? And that is what we should be looking at. Because if you are coming from your laboratory, where you've been doing research and experiments for donkey years, and you are suddenly the vice chancellor or chairman of council, there are lots of things about administration and governance that you don't know. And you need, at the very minimum, some kind of short-term training, induction, that then makes you prepared. You need to know about how to reconcile different conflicting opinions and positions. You need to understand how different areas and aspects of administration run. And I doubt that the problem here is about structures. It's about having square pegs in round holes.
Right. But would you tell us as well that where is this clammy finger patching these statues from? Because you see, we need to know also.
He wants you to tell us
Please leave the tattoos alone.
This is what I need to know.
Let's leave the tattoos alone.
I don't want to know where these clammy fingers are bringing that. So you see it being patched like
to name names, but I think there's a conflict between Jogo House and Harambee House B, Harambee House Annex. There's conflict. There's a tug of war between those two institutions.
And so what we see in the council and the VC, they're just pawning the game of chess.
Yeah, Jogo House and Harambee House Annex. The rest, you can do their investigation.
Right.
That is the conflict in the University of Nairobi today.
I don't think so. Let's stop this debate, but I don't think so. I have had a lot of this thing and so on, so it's interfered. Let me tell you what the problem really is. And allow me to say it in 1 second. The problem with our universities is that educated men and women with all the titles you can think of allow one individual to run the institution without them knowing they have a role to play in making the institution succeed. So that when one vice chancellor leaves in not very good circumstances, I see professors celebrating. Then I tell them, and I think I've even written about this in in one of the papers sometimes back. It means at your level you still think one individual can change this institution, that you just wait. You see, if we have a bad vice chancellor and he does his 2 terms of 10 years, he can mess the university like he's, is it you or who you talked about? So one of you talked about Masinda Mulilo most.
I did.
You.
I did.
So the question I'm asking, how do professors sit for 10 years, 5 years, when one individual, one among them, he's not even more educated than them? Like in where I come from, the vice chancellor is not as educated as the majority of the university professors were. He has met them, they taught him, they are there. How can they sit as one individual messes an institution like it happens in our secondary school? You remember Kakamega High School? A headmaster, those days they were called headmasters. He goes there, he ravages the place, including trees which had been planted by colonial headmasters, cuts them down and gets the roots and burns charcoal in the manner in which one DC ravaged Vihiga County, destroying the spiritual Maragoli forest when everybody, including leaders. I don't expect professors of a university to sit and watch as one. Sometimes I've told them like this, if there's a problem with the vice chancellor, why don't you senior professors go to Taifa Hall at the University of Nairobi and cause the vice chancellor to come from that tower and tell him, your colleagues are down here, they want to have a word with you.
You know how much?
And then they will ask him, things are going wrong, can you please make us understand? You know, from up there are things you know we don't know. Help us understand how the university is moving in this direction. But these people are not living up to expectations. That's where the problem with our universities is.
I think with the challenges of the management in the university, as my colleagues are putting it, we need to consider that the vice chancellor is the chief executive of the university. And he has a greater responsibility, by the way, more than other members in terms of bringing the university to order. So my plea would be that I think Professor Kiama, the Vice Chancellor of University of Nairobi, should be able to be the link between the students, between the council, between the staff, and he himself. Actually, if anything goes wrong completely, the council is not so much mentioned because they are just managers, but on day-to-day running of the university, the vice chancellor, and he has a greater responsibility. Instead of fighting the council and going to the press, if I were him, I would just sit in my office and try to see what professor is saying here, to consult maybe other professors, to consult Senate and all arms of the university, and work very hard towards bringing them together. And people can see it, not just going to the press and making statements and all that. So I think if that happens, then some of the unnecessary conflicts will not be there. Because if we say, as I said before, that there's a lot of external pressure, like my colleague here says, there is somebody who has put a tortoise there. So I don't know who that person is. And sorry to go back there because I found it very interesting. Somebody who is carrying a tortoise figuratively, putting on the table, is unfortunate. If that is the case, but however, regardless of the ones and the figurative language that you have used, let the CEO of the university sit down with all the departments and all the people concerned and try to bring people together. Otherwise, without that, we'll keep on blaming the one who brought the tortoise, we keep blaming the other person, the students, and we will not move. So I think he has a greater responsibility than anybody else as the CEO of the university.
Let's sum up with the University of Nairobi. We need to also tease out what is happening right now with the goodies that
the goodies
we should be talking about. Are they goodies or also?
We'll find out.
Yes, we'll find out.
But I wanted to say, Herman,
yes,
the University of Nairobi and the professors of this country are as good as the ordinary voter in Kenya.
Correct.
And if you want to see even elections of deans in public universities, it is as trivial and as banal as an election of an MCA. So we are not, the education hasn't helped us in this country.
Correct.
You know, it hasn't made us any unique or whatever. Sure. Two, the University of Nairobi's problems have been mainly, again, about University of Nairobi. When Professor Kaimenyi was the cabinet secretary, he made it his business to actually interfere with the University of Nairobi. When Magoha arrived in Jogo House, he made his business to interfere with the University of Nairobi. So you look at it, and it's the people of the University of Nairobi, or people who have been to the University of Nairobi, there have been a problem with the University of Nairobi. Most of the people, whether you're looking at the former Vice Chancellor and so on, they made it their business to make University of Nairobi not work. A big university that should be growing, having endowments, it is stuttering with debt. It has liabilities that it has not cleared. So it's actually largely insolvent. If you looked at it, it would be something that should be shut down because of management. But having said that, you look back and ask, some of the reasons why, for example, the previous vice chancellors would not want to listen to the council or what revolve around the so-called parallel degree money, parallel money. So that money, some of these vice chancellors were receiving that money for not doing anything else, and the rest of the people teaching and everybody, this money was a cash cow. So they were receiving it in millions. And part of the fights is access to money. So when you talk about corruption, when you talk about self-interest, when you talk about a bad governance, it is all manifest in a public university or in even a university center. So it doesn't become any different from another ministry, another department, and another county, another MCA, and another CDF thing. So part of our problem is that we are no better. We do not reflect any difference. In fact, we look worse than our ordinary hustler.
Correct.
All right.
Why are you upset? I agree with you.
You agree with me? I knew you would go there.
Agree.
I like that.
That-
Especially the example
that's
you've
what
given
this
of
is
elections, pension fund, trustees,
But
that's more academic, Professor.
caucus
That's
in
more
tribe.
academic analysis.
Thank you.
Than analyzing a tortoise and all that. I think that is more
I told
academic.
you
It's more
proverbs are the
specific.
palm oil by which
Yeah, but
words
the
are
proverb
eaten.
is wrongly phrased.
But you have used the same analogy. So when it is convenient, you use the tactics. When it's not, you run away from
I
it.
disagree with that one.
Why is the issue?
That's a
Of,
layman.
why is the issue of managerial, acumen coming to bear? If we hack back and we dial back the dial of history, when we have professors like the late George Eshwani from Kenyatta University, I mean, those were just
They took courses in leadership. And,
I beg to
and,
get. I beg
but
to
what-
disagree.
yeah, but-
On
but-
Professor Shwani.
I beg to disagree.
On a Professor
Okay,
Shwani.
let him finish his train of thought.
Yeah, these people took courses.
What makes you think Kiama has not
away
taken?
from, I don't know, maybe he has. But Professor Kindiki may not want to hear about tortoise. We have agreed that there is a hidden hand in all these things. Yeah? And that hidden hand is the ownership of the tortoise that is causing trouble in the universities. And you know that by the very nature of even appointments, you don't just become a member of the council of the university of Nairobi or any other public university for that matter. You have to be appointed, and the appointments are political. There are political considerations out there, and there are political conflicts out there, competitions.
Because he was a member of council, how political was it?
Yeah, yes.
Who is a member of a council?
He served as a member.
Oh, he did,
Member of
Yeah,
council.
university.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was admitted.
Yes,
So
I
we
was,
want him to tell us
I was
exactly how he
appointed
was
by
appointed.
the Mwai Kibaki government to be a member of the
That's
council
why
of the
he's
university.
tortoise.
So you know the
He placed
intrigue
there
Of the
himself.
University of,
As a tortoise.
of Nairobi. Yes.
All right,
And this one here has also been a tortoise. This Professor Kithure Kindiki here.
Apologize.
Professor, I apologize.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Don't use the wrong name.
I apologize, a slip of the tongue.
Okay.
Yeah, Professor Jonah Kindiki has also been a tortoise.
Where?
And professor. You've not been a
No, I'm not a tortoise.
tortoise.
No.
He's beginning to like the term tortoise.
Okay, I apologize and withdraw.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
For thinking you are
I think we can go
tortoise.
forward now.
Yeah.
Because he has apologized.
I think
he has
Hamana
withdrawn.
wanted to
But
wind up
not
on this.
the
I wanted just to
original
wind up
topic.
by
No, we
saying
need to wind
this.
up this topic.
There is this misconception about leadership and management. You know, we must try to draw a distinction, and because this is important, between a leader and a manager. A leader is a person carrying the vision of the institution. A leader can employ managers, okay? So that I don't even subscribe to the view that to run Kenyatta National Hospital, I have to be a doctor. No.
Now you're coming
Now
to
you're
where
You get it.
now you're coming there.
The problem, like Adams said, not Adams, Martin said, or law and this or law thing here. Martin said, our education hasn't quite
But it's a
helped.
relative of
Our
Adam.
education, our education hasn't quite helped us. But what is important in leadership is capacity. Many people get jobs for which they have no capacity. So you get a person who, and you know, capacity is built through dreams as you even grow up from primary school. So you get a person who has become a professor. He had never even imagined he could be a primary school head teacher. So he has not developed that capacity. And then you make him a vice chancellor. You get it? You get a person who has no capacity at all, make him a cabinet secretary. There can be no training for leadership. Bill Clinton put it very well when he challenged about experience. He said there's no experience for going to White House. It means you must first become president to gather the experience. Then when you stand, people, you can table that experience. Certain things, there is no experience for them. It is capacity. It is a dream an individual has that grows him into having the capacity for leadership. Now, when you want to have things done, certainly you need certain skills, okay? Some, like people like the late Bob Colimo, you may have them yourself. You can have some MBA here, you know, some people do that. Somebody ascends to a high office, he quickly gets an MBA, he gets a training here and there. This, you know, no, even some people now who didn't know about the digital world learn a lot of ICT to enable them. But those are things you can get people to do. Those are managers. You can employ managers. I like Miguna. He said he doesn't want to be a manager. He said Nairobi doesn't need a manager. Nairobi governor is a leader who will employ governors, any managers. And that's how we must see this thing. So the problem is not that the vice chancellor should have training into management. He should have the capacity for leadership.
Right. Okay.
Let's that you can't create in somebody.
You know, I'm sitting with academicians. So
That's
I know
how
I'm-
Eshwani comes in.
Summarize
That's
this.
how Mugenda, even with all her flaws elsewhere, she had something about her, Mugenda. The things she did in KU, other things notwithstanding. Eshwani, turning Jomo Kenyatta from a small college into what it became, and then going to KU and just take it to the skies. That is some leadership in somebody. And therefore, when we are identifying people to run our institutions, we must look at people with the capacity for leadership.
In
get
that,
it?
a rejoinder, a quick one. That the trait theory of leadership says that leaders are born, not made. That theory has got critical, you can have criticism of the theory, but actually education is just an added advantage to the leadership. So that, I think, the capacities is talking about. You need to have a vision. You need to have, you need all these things. You need education in the MBA, whatever, as they are putting it. You be a professor. But actually, you must to prove yourself to be a leader. You have those capacities.
So Njurindjeke can become vice chancellor.
No, but you need education. You need education.
The trait theory of leadership is the most basic. In fact, it's descriptive. Leadership theories have since transformed to transformational, to authentic.
Of course.
So we are a bit higher. So that we are looking for. Wait.
Basic.
We are looking for leaders who are true to self.
Yes.
Leaders who are self-aware. We are now, So this is the problem we are dealing with. Forget about these people who are born and not made.
Thank you. I think we've done justice to that particular conversation.
let's
So
move
let's
on.
see how that will really pan out. And we want
We
to go
agree.
back to, of course, the biggest story as well on the president's tour. Let's just get some of the sentiments that transpired
from the floor of different, of course, forums in the US this week.
Ready, close. Ready, shut. Ready, face. I do a lot of acreages in Narok for wheat, but I know, I'm not too sure, but I know it came to your attention that this planting season, I lost over 250,000 on fake fertilizer, which was sold to us by the National Cereal and Produce Board. So from your office and from the ministry that is standing in for agriculture, as farmers we are suffering on this end of getting things that really, I'm not sure if the government knows or the government has party to it or what it is that you need to tell us as farmers, because I'm trying to fight for my refund of all the almost 100 bags I got for fake fertilizer.
I will answer you right away. Number one, we asked every farmer who bought fertilizer that was finally identified not to be good to register, and 7,000 farmers registered. And already we have compensation of every farmer. You will get equivalent fertilizer without having to pay. Every farmer. That is number one. That is number one. And number two, we have taken the managing director of Cereals Board and all his team. They are now waiting for prosecution. We have already sent them out of office, and we are going to deal with them firmly and conclusively. Are we together? So we will not only refund you, we will not only give you, replace your fertilizer, but we are also going to deal with the crooks. Yes, let me, the lady.
I want to tell you, thank you so much for coming to Atlanta, Georgia. We are very excited to have you here. To introduce myself, my name is Jonelle Carol Menifee. It's my mother and partner, Carol Menifee. And we represent Solar Time USA. And we have a company in Kenya called Nice Solar Time Kenya. And our focus is mainly solar.
Excuse me, madam. Your English is a bit...
Hopefully, we will be able to persuade the United States to renew the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act that gives Africa the opportunity for access to markets so that we can create more jobs, we can create more wealth, and we can spread prosperity across our continent. And hopefully also, we will conclude on our strategic partnership, on our strategic trade and investment partnership that will give us the opportunity in Kenya to work with companies in the United States and to build greater synergy around our continent on matters to do with trade, investment, especially as we put together the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and twin it with the United States, as we discussed at the Africa Leaders Summit last year, giving us an opportunity to build greater partnership between the continent of Africa and the United States.
You people who have a payslip here, payslip yenu iko na mlolongo ya taxes ama hakuna? Na ni fupi ama ni mrefu? Alafu si mlolongo ya taxes ni mrefu hapa. That is how you build a country, my friends. You don't build a country because of debts. Ati kukopa hapa na kukopa pale. You build your country using your own taxes. So, muniite Zakayo, muniite nini, lakini tulipe tax tujenge Kenya. Mnafikiri ati Kenya itajengwa na wa Chinese ama itajengwa na Wamarekani? Sisi ndio tutajenga, tuko pamoja. So tafadhali mwambieni wale ndugu zetu wako nyumbani, mwambie hapa mnalipa tax na mnalipa tax kwa nchi ambayo si yenu.
All right, this is it. Ruto bags 1 trillion shillings deals from that particular tour as US seeks influence, and Ruto strikes billions in the US. The Delhi nation holds US visit. The billions America gave Ruto, and Kenya's prize for Haiti mission as well. US President Joe Biden designates Nairobi as key non-NATO ally in Africa and unlocks dollars for security, education, and digital economy during Ruto visit on the White House. And Binofu ya America is what Taifa Leo is holding, and also Kenya investors to partly fund 472 billion shillings US-backed toll road Mombasa Road expressway deal signed. New road seen rivaling China-built SGR. I cross over now to Tanzania. Also, them they're asking questions regarding this particular visit in Tanzania. What Biden-Ruto meeting in US means for Africa. And they're saying here, political analysts have voiced mixed views on what the meeting between US President Joe Biden and the Kenyan counterpart, Dr. William Ruto, means for Africa. We have one Dr. Paul Loiswile, who is saying, quote unquote, their meeting wasn't in the interest of the EAC, of the African Union, or Kenya. Rather, it intends to serve the best interest of the US as far as sustainable development goals is concerned, or sustainable development, just to put it. This is what also the sentiments from the East African region is raising hesitation with this visit as well. And we want to take a short break. These are the editorial cartoons that we do have. The director may just pick it up there. We shall look at it. We've discussed a bit of it, but let's try and get keenly and granular with some of those issues that are coming back home with 1 trillion shillings. Will we also be servicing heavy a debt moving forward? That's a probing question. We take a short break.